Okay, welcome to the second half of your first day at YAPC. This isn't a presentation. This is getting you a POS ID, getting you to make a module, getting you to upload it to CPAN. There are some people who are here who I definitely know already have modules on CPAN, and there are some people here who are here to help you do this process. And at least I, and I don't see anyone else at the moment, have all of the necessary magical powers to enable the things that you're going to need to do that. So the first thing we need to do is get people POS accounts. POS is the Perl Authors Upload Server, which is the gateway to CPAN. You don't actually upload to CPAN. You upload to POS. POS does some stuff, and then CPAN mirrors from POS. So if you don't already have an account, get your credit cards ready and go to pos.perl.org. You don't really have to have a credit card. For those of you who are new, the other speakers have probably already mentioned this, but I've been asked by the organizers to mention it again. On your way out, just there's the tip jar. If you can leave $5 or €5 or whatever, that's just how we do it at YAPC. Not really. That's probably being recorded now, so they're just going to take that soundbite out. So once you do this, there'll be things that are set up in POS that I can then go approve, and you will then be a POS author. That website is just pos.perl.org. You should get a thing like this. There is this request POS account link. Now, the thing that you want to think somewhat carefully about is this desired ID, because although you can get a different ID later, you can't modify this ID. We would have to manually transfer everything, which means you would have to manually transfer everything. That gets people confused. So if you're here to help people and would like to participate in that portion of the thing, can you raise your hands? So there's Todd in the back, and so there's a few people over here. There's Jim Keenan, who you're just talking to. If you need help or you're getting confused on something, just please raise your hand, and one of these people who have identified themselves as a helper will help you out or ignore you or whatever they're going to do. So what I'm going to do now is go to my user interface for this and see if I can see any requests coming in. We don't have any other POS admins in here, do we? I think there's a couple at the conference. No. This is the people who have magical powers to click on the links that are in here. Make this load. Go.
Is Larry in this list?
No. Larry is not a POS edit.
No, it's a list of pumpkins.
That is something different.
Wow, I see.
Okay, I'm going to start approving things here, I think. This is going to take me a minute for each one because we actually have these little links to check to see if there's anything close to what you're asking for. Okay, so now after you've done this, the next thing we're going to do is prepare a module for upload to CPAN. It's not going to be anything fancy. It's just going to be a module. It doesn't even have to have code in it. We just want you to be able to upload a file to CPAN. So the way you might want to start doing this is with something called Module Starter, which is the Perl module :starter. I have a whiteboard. I should use it. I will show you this process, but if you're sort of ahead of the curve waiting for me to do something, you might want to start on this bit. Just follow the directions that you see in the documentation for that module to create a distribution. Again, it doesn't have to actually do anything. I would suggest that you call this module, start with Acme, and then the name you just chose for your pause ID. Acme is this namespace we use in Perl for goofing around and things aren't entirely serious. Okay, so there it is. Does anyone have a bell that can make a sound every time a new Perl programmer gets his pause ID? So Ken, you have the pause ID. See if I can do a bunch of these at once. Wow, a lot of people wanting pause ID. Now, you don't have to actually do anything with this. There's no requirement that you use it once a year or something like that. It doesn't expire. And of those 9,500 or so people that we think, that we claim that are CPAN authors, a relatively small fraction of that are active in any particular month. Whoa. This is all, we have a huge backlog. Okay, let's start going through some of these. Review. At one point, we had talked about doing a command line interface for this. But this is the sort of the best we got. Normally, I just do this with the emails that I get. It takes me 10 minutes in the morning to go through everything. I think you get mail after I approve this. Oh, Brian, somebody else has a name that looks like yours. Uh-oh. What did you choose? Let me, Brian Smith, oh, it doesn't like the fact that a bunch of people are named Smith. I'm going to say insert most definitely. I'm actually surprised that one's not taken. Okay, good. Brian, you now have the pause ID. Same thing with that one, but that one looks fine. Matthew, you now have one. Chris, you have one. Oh, Deb, you need a different one. You don't need a different one. I just need to insert most definitely. Come on, Jester. Now you have one. Beast. No one has Beast yet. Oops. Okay, there you go, Marcus. You now have yours. Thank you. Oh, too many fingers. Go. Well, a lot of people getting their first choices. No one has to be like AOL user 123 at CompuServe. I didn't like that one. Cynthia, you don't have one yet? I thought I looked for you on CPAN the other day.
How do we start, Brad?
How did I start?
Yeah, the pause ID. What should I do?
Oh, so go to pause.perl.org. Are you at the same webpage?
No. I can.
Yeah, okay. Stick.
Do I use that? Okay.
I guess what I'm doing is violating everyone's privacy because you can see their email addresses on the screen as I do. Dan Young, it looks like someone else already has that. Or did I give you yours already? Okay, I'll come back to that.
Yeah, you forgot password? You set a password? Or did I miss it?
What's that?
I don't remember setting a password.
My email.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, it's usually an initial password that's in the email. You probably want to change that. I'm hoping that I'm not showing that to you in this link.
So
Sorry,
you are
now
helping
just
me. Okay. No, doesn't.
Okay, Dawn, you have a,
Rock on. Thank you.
James, Jeremiah, Carmen, you got one now.
Me? Okay.
Because this is now you register an offer, and then you can upload.
Joni, you got one. And Kevin.
That's okay.
Brent, yours might be from Marvin.
And then
Who's Nathan, actually?
this will help
You got one. Let's see,
this section, I think.
Jason, what happened to yours? Jason, you're all set. Great. Everything went through.
The package and then.
Brian Whiteman, you're all set. Well, you got a 3-letter one. I didn't call it 3 letters left. Well, I guess there should be, because there's 17,000 3-letter combinations. These are all, by the way, tend to be case insensitive. Because you're going to get an email address with whatever your POS ID was. So your POS ID at CPAN.org. Now, if you want to communicate with the POS admin for some reason, we have an email address, modules at pearl.org. You tend to only communicate back with your CPAN
Do I need to name it?
mailing
You
address.
don't
You
even
just
need
take your
stricter
CPAN
warnings.
user ID and attach
Right, sure, I'm not
CPAN.org
doing
on the end.
anything.
So you might want to make sure that it actually gets delivered somehow.
So, do I have to name it?
But it's
or
up to
am
you
I
how you
just
handle it. I
calling
realize
Um,
some people have different
okay, hold on a
tolerances
sec.
for giving out their email
Back out
address.
here.
Philip, you're all set?
Okay, to
I gotta figure out.
you're in your home directory.
See who else I
Should
need
have I know.
to.
I'm in user, yeah.
Okay, you need to use module starter.
Oh, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't
Yeah.
understand.
So
This isn't going out to
module
the
dash
entire
starter.
world right now, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Starter? I don't know if that's gonna work.
Okay, so you're gonna need to install it. He hasn't got to that yet.
No,
So
I
you
don't
need
care
to
about the archive bit.
you
It's
need
just,
to
It
install
seems
from
like there's an awful
CPAN.
registration in our people.
Can you do that as that user, or do you need to be root? Is
That's
this
a good question. I'm not sure.
is this OSX?
No, this is, yeah, it is, yeah.
Didn't that guy
Okay.
turn it, he
So,
turned off.
I should sudo just in case.
Yeah. Sudo.
I don't know what
yeah.
he did. I mean, in my session, it was on distance learning, which
Would help if I use the right password. Alright, there we go.
So,
Alright.
okay.
I usually work on the server, so this might be.
I would almost do sudo su.
Well, some of these are, okay, I think, I'm,
Yeah, then do CPAN.
yeah, I still have to fix your thing. Jane, yours are going.
Registered already.
Okay.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. So I just tried to do that
Okay.
twice.
And then it's,
Module : starter.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got that.
I'm glad the mail is going through right away.
Yeah, quick.
Someone from the geology department, got a rock lifter in here. Where's that person?
He's trying to get pink
If you
times
want to make a bunch of money, geology is where it's at nowadays. I'm not joking.
Oil?
Chemical companies will send you to school, they will pay for all of it, they'll give you a summer job, and at the end, you get to work for the richest countries, they're not countries, they're companies.
And their people.
If you don't mind selling your soul.
You're just renting your soul. And they have all the fancy things that scientists working at a, say, university geology department would not have. You get to play with all the fanciest things.
it's also the place.
Okay, let's.
I can do it from my work server.
Super ground penetrating radar.
Wait a minute. Why can't you run make?
All those.
I don't know.
I know
Okay,
some
so
geologists
Control
do
D.
that, so that's why I say that. I wish I could.
And
I
then
could
run.
do that. Okay, Jan, you got
Glad you're doing that.
Val,
Run make.
you're all set. Joseph Reeves.
You don't have GCC.
And Gary, you're all set.
What?
Eric.
This one's going to be a little bit more
Okay, just take
complicated.
yours.
Should I just do it from my server?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
You have to install the dev
Okay, good,
tools,
that's not bad.
and it's like 1.8 gig to download.
So that's gonna take too long.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, Rick, you are all set. Conrad, you're all
I could
set.
probably do it from the server. Actually.
Keith, all
Let me see if
set.
it's on.
Jane,
How would I know?
Perl-E.
Is anyone still waiting on
Sorry, Perl-M, big M.
Pause ID?
Oh,
module colon starter. No,
Holy cannoli, I think that's the most we've ever done in one day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't see any more
no space,
registrations in there, so
module,
I think we're all set
colon,
for that.
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
module colon starter.
Okay,
Dash
if,
E1.
if you didn't get one because you were shy or something like that at this
Can't
point,
find
it doesn't
so you would
matter.
have to install
You can
that.
find me later, or one of the people you know who are a CPAN author. They might be happy to help you. I will definitely be glad to help you. Well, let us move on in life. Now let's make some modules. So this is not really a class about downloading things from CPAN or interacting with modules, that sort of stuff. If you have a question, one of the people who have volunteered to help can help you along, but most of this is sort of just follow the instructions. And I'm going to do the same thing on the slide. So we can install the module that we need, module starter. Now you don't have to use this. I'll show you an alternate way to do this. But this will give you a leg up when you actually start to do something. So I'm just going to use the CPAN command. I happen to put the versions on the end of mine. Your slide says CPAN. If you're using CPAN minus or something else, it doesn't matter. I don't care how you get this thing. I think you could even just download this from CPAN and install it manually.
Dash E1.
Yes.
One. Good.
This is one of those simple modules.
And
that's
now
just
try module.
easy to do
Are you
what
in
it
a good
does.
directory? Module dash starter.
For this,
Lowercase,
the purposes
all
of this
lowercase.
thing, we could even do something simple like just use H2
Dash dash
test,
help.
which might even be simpler because it doesn't require a module,
Okay.
and you don't actually
Now
care
we
what the
wanna
module looks
do-
like.
Can you scroll?
Well,
Or
I'm not
the
going to
window
force you to
bigger?
do all the stuff that Jim just taught you how to
Okay.
do by testing all of the modules.
But
But some of the stuff
He's
is
about
going
to
to
walk
apply
through
because we
it.
want
Okay,
to
that's
see
cool. Thanks.
when we upload it and it's broken, we're going
You
to
can
upload
look at the
broken
help
code.
though, it's pretty
What
straightforward.
happens
Sweet.
in the
And that'll
CPAN
set up
toolchain?
a skeleton directory structure for you.
Jim just mentioned that in addition to module starter, there's another CPAN distribution that does the same thing called Exutil's Module Maker that was created by Jeff Avery, and then he passed off to me, so I'm the maintainer of it.
Wait, that's module maker, not make maker. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That module maker one is actually, we mentioned that in intermediate Perl too, because that's another one.
Yeah, so there's several ways to do this.
I don't care how you make this distribution, we just need to make it.
Yeah.
So I have module starter. I gotta find where I put it. Okay, there's one. Let's see if I can just say this. Module, I'm gonna say Acme. Now it's just gonna go off the side of the screen, deploy. Okay, so it creates this thing for me. It gave me a bunch of output. Okay, I guess that's fine. Manifest, I don't think I need care about any of those. So I should have a directory now called acme-edeploy. See if I can change it to that. Yes, and so there is my module.
Brian, the left side of your screen is being cut off on that.
Yeah, let's see if I can. I think that's because of the font size.
Just select your screen a little and move it to the right. Yeah, I have the same problem.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I think I had to make it a little bit smaller. Can you see the scroll bar?
Yeah.
Okay, I think part of it was just.
No, you scoot the
No,
whole way
no,
to
no,
the
right.
left-hand side. Scoot the whole
Which way is the right?
You're right.
Where'd this go?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Left hand makes the L. Or you go, right hand makes the L. Okay. So, is anyone having problems getting to this point?
Yeah, what were the arguments for module starter?
So I did here, I'll just write it up there. When I say module starter, although I think if you run it without any arguments, it will tell you.
It'll give you prompts.
Oh, it'll prompt you. You just say module and you give it some name. So I said Acme DD4.
Is it typical to use your email, your CPAN email, or?
Okay, so it's going to prompt you for some other things, including your email. The reason you didn't see it on mine, I forget, I had it already configured in a configuration file.
Okay, that's
The email that you use, it's going to put into the documentation for the module. So if you don't want your whatever email you want to protect in there, don't use it with module starter. Because we're about to upload this to CPAN, which now means it's going to upload to pause, which means it'll make it to CPAN, which means Google will see it, which means it will be out there.
It's there forever.
Yes, okay. So if you're inside your module, now some of you might have built this in other ways, that's fine. This one has a build.pl in it, so how I do that is I run Perl on the build.pl. Okay, and then I'm just going to run build, dist, I think it is. Yes, so I just run build dist. So just run that. You don't have to know what it's doing. It does not matter what it's doing. As long as you get, at the end, this file. Or not that file, your file that looks like that. Similar. Do not name your module Agni BD Your pause will accept it. It won't be indexed, but it won't really work for the other things I want to show you. Question?
Could you show those last two commands?
Yes, I did. The last command I did was, okay, the first one I did was this. And the next one I did was build dist.
If you don't have a build file, you can do Perl makefile and make.
Yeah, to give a makefile.pl, do Perl makefile.pl, and then make dist.
Is that normal that module starters with build?
I probably have it set in my configuration to do modules like that.
Yeah, no, it was a default commit maker, so it's your
How come I don't have that? You have to install module starter
Makes this noise.
It's just the same target, just a different tool.
You don't need to do anything.
It might catch up to
What Perl are you using?
yeah, you're at cpan.org, address might not be set up yet. I don't know how that happens. That might batch like every hour or at the end of the day or something like that.
So if you have to run the make file, then what, after you do that,
Okay, so I'll just write on the board. So we do the module starter bit,
Capital M.
we do Perl makefile.pl,
Starter with the capital M.
and the next thing is just make.
right?
Yes.
And it's gonna download it. Go
Okay, I'm there.
install
Good.
it for CPAN.
Now after that, you should have something that looks like your module name,
Give it a minute.
.tar.gz. If you're on Windows, it might have use .zip. Or if you had something configured otherwise in your computer, you might have a slightly different
Downloading all the dependencies.
compression scheme going on. Or it might have said .tgz. So if you're that far along, let's go back to our web browser. Log into your pause account. Where is my web browser? Okay, that's the email that you don't need to see.
So if you want to test this, so
Oh,
it's good.
no.
And
That's
then
a
a different tab or another. The browser goes. Here you go. So now try running.
pause.
Control
Okay, there are a bunch of different ways that we can
exit. Yeah.
upload a file to pause. The easiest thing for you to do right now
No.
is to go to this thing, upload a file to pause, or upload a file to CPAN. That's under your user menu that shows up once you're logged in.
Press enter.
So if you click on that,
So these are all the default functions. I'm gonna make this one a little bigger. Space. So dash dash module.
you're going to get these various forms. We can do an HTTP upload. That's the thing that we're doing now. There's also a way that we can just give a URL where this thing exists. That's interesting for cases, for instance, where you say get this directory from GitHub or something like that. Or you can use FTP, but we're not going to do those. We're just going to go down here to this thing. I don't know if it shows up well in the projector, but it says upload material.
Yeah. Now I've just violated my own
And then, oh, okay, there's a juice file thing.
Where's your puzzle?
Where did I just make that? My desktop?
Be all right.
Upload that thing that you just created.
Wasn't that Jane?
Tarball.
Yes, the tarball.
There you go.
And then you should get something like this.
Up here, go again. Space.
File successfully copied to thing. Now what's happening is that when you upload to pause, it just takes any file that you give it. That does not mean it accepts it yet. One of the things that it has to do is be a unique name. That name could never have been seen by pause before. Once someone uploads a file with a particular name, that's it. And then by name, I mean the whole thing. The Acme, BD4, the version number there, and the tar.gz. It does not care who it came from, so I can upload files that have names that look like one of your distributions or somebody else's. Pause has ways to handle this, but right away it just takes it.
This is how it will read
Now,
in regular text. So
oh, we gotta tidy up your home directory thing. That's nice.
Oh.
Okay, so it's gonna take a little while for pause to get that into
space.
its,
This one's required to
lots of people doing this, great.
email equals cache session.
Oh, look at this. So Breno, who is here from Rio, has uploaded a module called Acme CPAN Authors Brazilian, which is just a list of Brazilian pause IDs. If you are Brazilian and you haven't talked to him yet, get your name now in that module. But you see, at the end of this page, it shows all the things that have been uploaded. There's the name, there is a file size, and there is the author that belongs to. Now this one, there's the one I just uploaded.
Now there's a direct.
Doesn't have an author next to it yet, but I imagine
do
oops,
DIR.
I don't really want to do that. I just want to do this. I don't want to reload it and send the form again. I just wanted to refresh that. Let's see if it has it now. Yeah, so now it's had time to do its little batch processing, which I don't know how often it fires off, but it's every couple minutes. And I have claimed it. And so whoever Demian is that some sort of joke about the omen?
No.
No? Okay. Is that your actual name?
Quit making fun of his name.
It's just, we just reversed the E for the A. Great, so it looks like a lot of people have had no problem uploading their first module to CPAN. Congratulations. That's all it is. That's it. So we're done. No, see, that's all. If you take away all the Perl stuff, all the programming stuff, that's what it is. Now we're going to have some fun stuff. So let's go back to our module. I gotta find these windows now. Now we're in our module directory, and you know what I'm going to do, just so we are on the same page here. I think I'm going to start over. I'm going to start over. You don't have to start over.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
I might have missed something. So we started with our module starter. Did you go over what needs to be done to edit the lib file?
Oh, I want to do this. Acme, boy, M.
EUMN?
Which one does actually show EUMN? Gotcha. Oh, I gotta make a. Okay. CD. What do you use, John? For tar?
I use MakeMaker for the most part.
No, I mean, but like to build your skeletons.
Yeah, I do module starter.
Okay, now I have. Oh man, what was that? I still got to build uphill. I guess it does the compatibility thing.
It's probably reading the config file out of your home directory, so you gotta.
Oh, so it added,
that out.
it added it. Yeah, okay, don't worry about that. You might see a few extra. I don't want to go change all my configuration right now. So let's see if I can do this. Perl makefile.pl. Then do a make dist. Fantastic. Okay, so now I want to do this. Do make test.
I thought the pod coverage broke automatically on module starter. Like the pod coverage breaks because you haven't documented it properly.
Oh, no, it has sub documentation.
Okay. Or boilerplate. I think it was boilerplate.
It's a to-do.
Okay.
If you don't have, like pod coverage, non-pod coverage installed, it'll just do.
Yeah, but I think it's actually covered because the stuff has.
Because I think the boilerplate T was to say, hey, you haven't updated this stuff
Yeah,
yet.
it is. It is. But let's look at it real quick. So what Todd is saying is that it's surprising that all these tests passed because module starter in its boilerplate T test is actually looking for things that you haven't updated in the templates that it provided for you. It wants you to go through and you have to fill in your code. But if we look at that, it's a to-do. So it failed expectedly. They should say that, failed expectedly. Okay, so what we want to do, so has everyone had a chance to run that and see that all those tests pass? Okay, so what we've done so far is we've uploaded the module to CPAN where all the tests pass. What is going to happen now is that the CPAN testers are going to recognize that you've uploaded a module to CPAN. And this group of a couple, I don't know how many people are in CPAN, like 100 or so? More? You don't know? Are going to download this module and test it on their versions of Perl and their machines. And a lot of these people have virtual machines set up for all sorts of things. So you're going to get tests on all the way back to 5.6, on like Solaris 2.5, or a test on VMS, or something like that. They're all doing this for free. We have this distributed quality control team that will run your stuff on all their different setups, which means you don't have to do this yourself. You prepare a distribution that you want to have tested, you upload it, and it happens. Now, it's going to take a while for them to get back to you. But it's a script called CPAN Tester. So if we look at our browser, they just changed the I think they changed the URL recently because there was some problem with the other one. It's not that one anymore. Maybe it is. Nope. See, this is the one that is broken now. So there's the CPAN testers that are doing all this sort of stuff, and let's look at a module. Let's look at whatever tax filter is. Oh, that's not interesting. What's a good one? Oh, tap, one of these, tap parser, that should be tested all over the place. So you get this nice matrix. Now across the top, which I slightly scrolled there, is a bunch of different operating systems, so Windows, but under Cygwin, and then whatever these other ones are, and then versions of Perl, and it's showing some colors based on the aggregate feeling for that particular module. CPAN Testers is getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these reports each month. And this one looks like everything passes. So here we see, which version is that?
Just do make this.
Where are all these failures coming from then? So it shows you all sorts of things here. There's 491 tests. Most of these things are failures for this version. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, that's what's happening to your module right now. Now, you might not see these results for a couple days as the tool chain catches up with you, but this is the sort of thing you're getting as a CPAN author. Okay, so what we're going to do is go back to our terminal, and we're going to do something. So edit in any way that you like the file lib, acme, and then whatever your username was. And all I want you to do and you can do something else, is just come down and remove that semicolon. We're just going to make code that doesn't compile. So I will save that. I'll go back and I'll make my test again. Oops. Make test, and now my tests do not pass. Oh, I should have mentioned, I want you to make one other change. Go down here to the thing that says our version, and just change that to be something that's greater than the version you see there. So I'm just going to turn that 1 into a 2. Not only does PAWS require that you upload a unique file name, but when it wants to add another version of your module, you have to increase the version number. Not just make it different, but it actually has to increase. So what we're going to do is just make that happen. If you don't, you'll get back some indexing failure, and you get an email saying that the version numbers were the same, and so we're just going to leave that one alone. What we want to do is eventually have our stuff show up in the various CPAN search sites. Actually, let's just for, I wonder if this has already happened. Let's go to metacpan.org. MetaCPAN is the newest shiny CPAN search interface, and I think it actually looks in the PAWS incoming directory to grab information about modules before it's technically available to the rest of the world. It doesn't look like it's updated my thing yet. It's search for it by module name though.
Yeah, it shows up. It's just
Not yet. Well, maybe I read it.
It's there if you
On the interface. That's
so if you click back.
Yeah, I'm gonna click that. Oh, I go to
If
the
you go
previous
back.
page?
Okay, click on one of your other modules.
Okay.
Okay, and then rename it up on the URL to be.
Gotcha. So
So how do you do a previous version? You have to actually specify the previous version.
we'll figure it out. It's not important at this point right now. But by the end of the day, your module should show up on one of these, on CPAN Search or MetaCPAN. You will have an author ID that is there, and you can see various things about yourself. As people are getting caught up with this next bit, I also want to show you there's my picture. If you set a gravatar, so G-R-A, I'm going to have to write this out. I think it's GARGRAVATAR.com, I think. You can associate a little picture with an email address. In the search sites, they will look for a picture associated with your CPAN email address and put it next to your stuff.
V-I-T-A-R.
V-I, wait, what, so after the V?
I.
No.
No, I think
No, that's right.
I think it's all A's. Is it?
Yeah.
all I.
It's like Avatar, like the blue people. Okay, but that's something you can do on your own. And also, I actually don't know how to do, Chip or Todd, do you know how to do the all the goofy stuff where we can set our profile things?
Yeah, it's top right.
Oh, you can do it right in here.
Login. You're logged in, which is why you're not seeing it. But up on the top right, your other right.
Oh, this little thing here.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
logged in.
there you go.
There you go.
So you can, there's all my thingies. Oh, and I guess you can even give it a different thing. I just put my gravatar thing in there. So maybe you can give it another URL. And there's all these sort of things you can put in here. Your GitHub, LinkedIn stuff, and so on. You can put it in your Amazon wish list, and people can send things to you, but no one's done that for me yet. Not that I'm begging or anything, but there's a really nice car on there. And there's a PayPal thing. I accept donations. I'm not. There's a lot of stuff that you can fill in, and people can know things about you. If you're the sort who ever wants to have a different job than the one you have now, you should start building your online professional profile, your brand, as they would call it in the fancy marketing books. Part of this is the fact that you've had it for a while. You don't want to have some job interview where they look at your stuff and they say, oh, he's been active since last month. That's not impressive. impressive is, oh, he's been active for years. So even if you don't plan on having something now, start this stuff. Okay, so has everyone broken their code?
Yes.
Probably the easiest thing you've done. This would be the one instance in a class where people would get it wrong by making their code work. Okay, so now what I want you to do is do make this again. Well, before you do that, do make this test. This is a thing that will take everything it's going to do to make your distribution, do that, change into that directory, run the test again to make sure you've gotten all the bits in place. You might have left out a file. Again, we're not explaining the CPAN mechanics or what's actually in the distribution, but I used to have this problem quite a bit, so I forget to put a file in manifest or something. That should also fail now. And it does. But what I want you to do is do a make dist again. You might have to do a make clean. I don't know why I had to do that. Oh, okay. Oh, goodbye, terminal. Not iTunes. And what you should have now in your directory is another tarball with your new version number. Upload that. It's broken, but I want you to upload it.
I'm getting my old version number, even though I've
So,
changed.
okay, if you get your old version number for some reason, there's a way that you can start over. And that's what I had to do. So you can do a make clean. Now, I don't actually know what the problem is. I just know that this makes it so it doesn't happen. What's that?
Build or make. I mean,
If you have a make file.pl, use make. Or use whatever command you're using before.
got it.
And then just starts over, and then do the Perl whatever again. Perl make file.pl. Okay. So upload that.
So make this doesn't run a make test?
No, make this test will. Well, I guess you can configure it to do that, but no, make this will just make the disk. Yeah, if it ran the test before, life would be so much easier because you'd never get to make the disk to upload to CPAN. Okay, so just upload that again. Now you're not going to see Pause complain about that. Pause does not care if your tests pass. It will gladly put your stuff on CPAN. Okay, now what we're going to do, is anyone still, okay, so now what we're going to do in our directory, let's edit that file again. Just leave that problem that you created alone. Oh, look at this, I got to update the documentation too. There we go. Notice that when Todd was talking about the boilerplate stuff, in that description there, the names of the great new acting PB Boy, that's one of the things the boilerplate looks for and expects you to change. Okay, so I'm going to take that version number, and right after the 02, I'm going to say _01. The underscore is a thing that marks this as a development release. It is not for end users. It's for you to upload to CPAN for other people to try, but it's not going to show up in the CPAN indices. It's not going to show up as a thing that the CPAN client downloads, and hopefully it doesn't show up as a thing people actually start using. As you know, as I just said, that once you upload these things to CPAN, the CPAN testers start grabbing it. They will grab the development versions. So this is a way that you can say, hey, I had a problem on Linux or Debian or something. I'm going to try this, throw it up there, see if I still have the problem. If I do, it's not going to disturb anyone. But if you don't have the problem, you can say, hey, maybe I can now promote this to a release. So all I want you to do now is make that disk again. Why is it?
You gotta re-pro your makefile.
Yeah, but why do I have to do that? It should just know.
I know, but.
Oh, wait, I think I know. What if I just do make? Make disk. No? I'm not gonna stop to figure that out.
Perhaps the document, the pod version changed. Perhaps.
I don't know. I'll just do.
What happens if you say Perl makefile.pl?
Yeah, that will. So you might want to do this. Just make this command line. Make clean, make semicolon, Perl, make file.pl. There's something stupid going on here, but I'm not going to stop to figure it out. There's still something stupid going on here.
Instead of Perl makefile PL, say make clean make.
Now, the make clean actually removes the old make file. This is the danger of doing live demonstrations.
Yes, it is true. You have to change the pod version as opposed to the $1 version.
Oh,
That's the one that it looks at.
Oh, no, it works just fine. But I think my pod version, I did not change it. I think you might see that because if you tried that, notice the change
Oh, maybe it
in the file. Did my pod version?
You're right. Maybe I just had to do it twice. Because I did it once, then changed the pod version, and I did it again, and it worked. So,
Okay, maybe the make is just getting confused with the timestamp or something. Anyway, so I now have this thing. It is still broken, but it's a development version. So upload that. Now what I expect to happen, when you look at your CPAN page later or tomorrow, is that you'll see that you have 0.1, 0.2, and then maybe you won't see .02 underscore 01, but it will be there. But users won't see it because it's not something that users are expected to see. It should still show up in the CPAN testers stuff. And you can look at that. Okay. Let's finish up that bit. We've been going for about 15 minutes, so we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start again at 3:30.
That's the one.
Well,
This one's.
Yeah, well, you would have started with ours probably.
Right, that's just the process. I'm going to show them RT.C. It's like the under account that you set up.
You just need that little extra bit to get you downstairs.
It's a request file. So like the above thing. It'll automatically be set up, but it might take overnight. Trying to stay focused in class.
It's certainly easier to do it this way.
No, so when you go to rt.cpan.org, with your CPAN ID and your password, wherever you show, you'll be able to log in and show your stuff. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of it. Because I don't know what I wrote all this.
Yeah.
I just want to show them the process. That was what if we can
Whatever. Oh.
Well, that's why you should do that, you know, do the changes. I'll take that file and maybe it'll take them in.
Yeah, we haven't added anything, we don't.
We can help with examples.
We can create another test file and add the.
Yes, oh,
Right, and of course, you can also, if someone else wants to make people certain things, just signate the, we don't have the hard.
Yes.
So you can of course, so yeah. I love the placeholder for that, so this works, you chart now.
But what other failure objectives? I would try the website, get your control to do something that would look like you had to. Why just show me your associated?
Yes, I didn't think that, I just did that.
That could be
Oh, we should follow up. What is follow up to get? We made one.
This bus route doesn't have a whole lot of traffic. The bus from Page City to.
Exactly, that may be, yeah.
That's not gonna be set up. Well, I'll figure it out. If you have suggestions, please, during the thing. This is cool.
Tool for running queues.
Do you have an older throwaway module you can pilot?
Yes, I think I do. I have some ones that are point that no one uses because it's just, there's no.
Well, it would just sit there and look at some of the file shows, and it would just execute whatever script you told it to pass the bad files. If it exits 0, then it's done.
But he did.
So you can make these rules for a thing, like a synchronous thing, and it's like, so here's just the files in.
You know, the certain section that gets mine at that time.
All MySQL, the queue runner with MySQL.
Yeah, so now click on that. Yeah, and scroll down. Oh, sorry, scroll down.
Yeah, I have.
Anybody need any particular?
Upload this check file?
Yes.
It's already there.
No, this is, okay, so this is a staging, it's like an outside upload. This will then upload it into your office.
What's the deal with choosing your file from the yellow when you upload it?
I mean, let me,
I may have missed what we're supposed to do there, but.
The URL in that is.
No, I think that's just saying, just wanted to show you that.
you can time it automatically tags the file with the fact that you uploaded. I think you can also key it up and just say, you know,
Profile.
That was mine.
yeah, so if you upload it in the web form, I think it comes behind in a few minutes, like every minute or something, and files. Just notice that it isn't technically loaded, and then write it later.
The other ones, they have.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you go back, I was just wondering, like, why?
Yeah, then you get this index
Oh,
word,
Slack
index
file.
report email.
Yeah, I just saw those. And that's
Oh,
yeah.
It's their sort of internal. This
It may have already been
most of
sent,
these.
and then it's just processing it.
But it's
if you
not
want
there.
to use right
It's
away,
not there yet.
and you can do that.
So because I think
No, but it's saying, like, let's say you upload that.
Okay, back.
Right.
Totally new to Pro and totally
Okay.
new to
Real code.
Okay,
the down patches
Yeah.
here.
This was,
So
So
how about
you can,
also what that means?
it's
You
similar.
make some
You
library and
Yeah.
you want to upload
yeah.
to CPAN or to share.
Well,
To
this
share.
is,
To share. Okay.
Yeah.
And
there's
then
various options here, and I
that
not
need a
use
pass
them all,
ID. I
so
already have
but
that.
let's
Show you how to make
just go to.
show you how to make a star module, which is
Okay,
the
so what this shows you is basically all the,
file. And so let me show you how to
each individual upload exists in several metadata the tarball itself, and go to the next word. So what you can do with this one is you can click.
Yeah, well, I just tried to.
Let's say you want to get rid of
Yeah, I know.
0.1.
Which one?
That's okay, now that you're uploading, now that it's actually up there, you see it there.
And, when you get a screen here that says,
No.
these, those three
What's
files
next? Which
are
one?
scheduled for
I'm going
completion
to,
in 3
my
days.
own Unicode, but I'm recording this.
Right? Now, the other, now,
Yeah.
that's,
So
of
I
course,
use it
it's just,
downstairs.
Oh, there it is.
you've got, and all, the fact that they're there means all these people. Whereas you see your the one that is.
375. Oh, okay.
maybe
Better one, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
But let's say you do.
I'm
this,
Jane.
right?
Nice to meet you.
So you might forget. The other thing is that, basically, lets you delete all the versions of the older versions of the module. And they're mirrored, and then you're CPAN 13 in space. Right. 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 So, just for example, on mine, basically I try to keep the last two versions because you will see when you go to like some of the tools that you have a difference. You can say diff 0.2 versus 0.1. And so to have diff, somewhat, particularly if there are some really significant differences, you want to do that, right? So, and there are other times where I mentioned this model, exotil model maker, which started in 2007. And it was written by Jeff Avery, who's the lightning talk guy. And then I took over management. I had this whole recaps. I like keep the first version was under my release. There, sort of like benchmark. That's where I started. Quite to focus the ball. And then I had like the latest version and maybe the second latest version. And you say release, right? That does not mean they are. Dark. They are accessible by going to the center website.
And it didn't work out.
But it's basically so that the live, see, what you're going to is the server www.
They just show up. And it just doesn't have that. Okay. Oh, you look at that.
Search.
So go to
Search.
you know what it is. Like if you have to get to part of
And then along the way,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
medicine, the new shiny thing.
you just have to,
Yeah.
okay, that's where you're wanting to be.
So,
Log it as
so there's all these, and then of course the www.cpn being mirrored all over the place, like for example,
basically it goes into an incoming directory first, and it just sits there.
mirror.
Okay. And then,
Columbia University.
look at the bottom.
There are companies in New York that I've been, and this is of course back 15 years ago. The connections were shakier, and that's why we had mirrors. Right? So and so that same data is being replicated, the same live CPAN. You don't, I not know 33 versions of this comparison. I only, maybe the latest. And the other two are, like they're mainly so I can see where I can. So, so that's the reason why. And then there are others. You can. There's various other things here. Like let's say you were at some point. Well, like let's say I took over maintenance of the module. Well, that means that the original author, Jeff Avery, had to go into permissions and change permission so that I could now make modifications to that module in addition to him. So that's what I'm getting.
Yeah. When I had the, well, in fact, from Des Moines all the way.
I've given it to you, I said, screw it, I'm gonna get everything and I disappeared. I don't really know the rules.
Yeah,
I think one person is designated as primary or switch that. There was one, Damien Conley, it's not a Earl 6 save, right? And I took over, made so that he, and so he gladly on top of it. So I did that. Okay, so we did that, and then that was let's say 2012. Comes at the end of 2007, we get Earl 5.10, which has its own save function. So Earl 6 save Earl 5 was no longer needed, right? Because it was just a demonstration. So I maintained it for a couple of years, and then we got like 5.12. Thought reports were stupid and all that. So I said, Damien, this is not really good. And then I withdraw distribution. Let's just put it out there in the dark. Damien said, that's fine.
I've had all kinds of people, no, this must be maintained there, you know.
Okay, let's get started again. We're going to show you a few other things, and then we only have a little bit more planned, and then we can just take questions from you or try to do things that you'd like to do. So far, we've uploaded one that passes, one that fails but has a user version number, one that fails and has a developer version number. And some of the effects of that you're not going to see until the other bits of the tool chain get a hold of it. And one of the things that we're also not going to get to play with right now is the request tracker. Every CPAN author automatically gets an account at rt.cpan.org. Oops. rt.cpan.org. ORG. So this is where we can find bugs about things. Before we actually log in, let's just do a search. There's a search for distributions thing. Let's find modules by maintainer so you can see all my bugs. So there's all my modules, and let's look for a bug list for, say, this guy, app CPAN. So there's some stuff that I have to do with that. You'll get this sort of thing for your modules automatically, just by having an account because you have a CPAN ID. But when you upload a module, you automatically get a queue inside rt.cpan.org. And a queue is just a section of this set aside for a particular namespace. In this case, it's app CPAN. So what we could do, let's go back to the main menu, is we can report a bug just as a normal user in a variety of ways. Let me make this larger. Check this out. You can just say bug dash and then give it your distribution name at rt.cpan.org to send out mail, which will now report the bug. It doesn't have to be for your module. It can be for anybody's module, but it has to be the distribution name. It might be different than the module name. You'll see the distribution name when you look at methods CPAN or CPAN search. So I might have bug app CPAN. What else is there? At rt.cpan.org. Don't send mail to that, please. If you want to play around with that, let's see what else I have. Oh, but before we get on, what we could do is, where's the link to this reported bug? So you can do an anonymous bug thing.
I think you have to sign in to use the GUI interface.
Let's do this. Bug list for this guy. Oh, here it is. New ticket in. Yeah, I can never find it either. Bundle mastering Perl. I'm not going to really explain what a. No, I guess you do have to. What is this telling me? Yeah, you must log in. Okay, great, thanks. Why show it to me if I can't use it? So I have to put in my things here. Oops, they already first took care of my password. Do you see that? Okay, so now I can do a new ticket in bundle mastering Perl. So I guess you can only do this bit if you have a pause account. So I can fill in a bunch of things. A subject, update it. It is really old. You suck. No, don't say that part. Say, I will help you if you let me. I will do all the work.
Which means you suck.
And then you hit create, which I'm not going to do, because then I'd have to yell at this guy who sent me the bug report. As a new CPAN author, when you get these, realize that life is just the way it is, and it's just an email that you got. Well, here, let's do this. I'm going to create it. So now if I go, when I come back in and I navigate to this, I will get to this ticket. And now RT is just what it is. You just don't have to get used to it. I click on one of the things and I get all this stuff, and look at this, I can change the status to deleted. You can go away. You don't exist anymore. So if someone's being a jerk to you, for some reason, there was this interesting article I read in the newspaper the other day about how the internet is being taken over by trolls. Every comment board is just an excuse for them to push whatever political position they have. Even if it's a website about knitting and they want to talk about yarn, they will talk about the war in Libya or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. People are going to be like that no matter what you feel about it, so just delete their stupid tickets. If it's something where they're reporting an issue and they're mean about it in some way, doesn't matter, doesn't change your life, shouldn't change your life in any way, just say, thanks for the information, I'll look into that, and then go on. Have a happy dinner with your family, go out and see a movie. Don't let the fools waste your time. Yes?
I could be mistaken, but I believe in the case of logging in to rt.cpn.org, you can either set up an account with your own account with rt.cpn.org.
Oh, like BitCard.
Or a BitCard. Or if you are a CPAN author, you can log in with your Clause ID.
Okay.
So there's a couple ways to get into it, and they have slightly different functionalities and capabilities, but ultimately it doesn't make much difference.
Okay.
Once it says you are logged in, and you can create a bug report via the interface. You can also, as Brian indicated earlier, create a bug report with, just by being just anybody and using the email interface.
Okay, so you're going to get those sort of things. That will probably be set up for you tomorrow morning. I think that happens overnight. Let's go back to, let's see if I can get, okay, so this is sort of nice. The highest priority tickets that I have, when you get a ticket, it doesn't have a particular priority, so you can go ahead and set all that stuff yourself. Let's see, so over here it says new, open, installed. So this one I haven't responded to yet. It's open and it's critical, so what I should do is to show that I've dealt with this, or am going to deal with it, I'm going to say stalled. I will fix that after this conference. I've been ignoring everything up till YAPC. Just as a note, even if you're not going to reply to it, they get a little bit of feedback, which I'll probably ignore, that says, yeah, you saw it, you're dealing with it. I hate to negatively frame it like that, where this is going to be a big pain for you. It's just you're not going to notice all the people who are extremely positive and helpful. They're going to feel really bad about one person who spoils the whole thing. When you put yourself out there as a programmer, as an artist, as whatever, you're giving everyone license to say things about you. It doesn't matter. My wife is an opera singer. She does not read the reviews. None of the opera singers I know read their reviews. It doesn't matter to them. They know what they did, and it doesn't matter. You know what you've done. You know that this is open source. You know that this is freely available to anyone to change in any way they like. You aren't their slave. Okay, again, I'm saying all some negative things about this. I just want you to be prepared with a realistic expectation of how this is going to go down. Okay, so that's that. So try that out once you get it. So you have a broken module now, so you can submit a bug against that and say, hey, break this or fix this version. Now let's do the next thing you'd want to do. Again, this is not a class in making modules, so if you don't quite understand what's going on, maybe we can just follow the instructions. We have a broken module, so what I'm going to do is try to make tests. Before I do anything, I do a make test, either to make sure I'm at a good spot and everything works, or that something is actually broken. If I start changing code before I do that, I might not actually know where I was starting from. So we have to fix that, so let's fix that. And in my case, I just removed a semicolon, so I'll put that back. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going to increase the version number there in the doc and in the module. So I'm just going to increase the part that is after the underscore because I don't know if it works yet, so I'm going to fix it. But I'm going to give CPAN testers a chance to look at it before I actually promote it to a fixed release. So from that bit, you can go ahead and make the distribution again. Let's see if it works. No, I still got to do that clean stuff. And then I can upload that. By the way, I guess this isn't set up in RT either, so you can't submit bugs against my thing. You'd be able to submit bugs against your thing in that case. Upload that. Oh, wait, before you do that, make this test. I forget some of this stuff because I have tools that just do all this for me automatically because I always forget the step. But now that I try to do it manually again, I forget stuff. So the test passed and I can upload that. I'll show you another way to do this. I'm going to see if I can FTP to ftp.pause.org. Oh, forward. See if they have FTP open. Does not seem what they do. No, it is.
Actually, their DNS is really slow right now.
It's pause.pearl.org. Whoever said that, thank you. So this is a machine somewhere in Germany run by a guy named Andreas Koenig. So log in as anonymous. Send some string there to be your password. And then if you look in here, you don't have to do it like this. This is the old hard way for doing things. And we're just showing you the very basics of all of this. If you search for how to upload to CPAN, you'll find about 10,000 different people have created different ways to do this. There's like a CPAN upload script. I use a thing called module release. There's a thing called Distzilla. You just got to pick something that fits with how you like to work and how you like to deal with your stuff. Come on. Okay, we're going to move on and come back to that in a minute. So now what I want to do is make a change in our module. Let's, oops, we're going to edit this guy. So I've already updated the version because I just did that. Wait, did we upload that? Yeah, we did. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pretend that we're going to fix everything. I'm going to call it version 3. 0.03. And let's just go down further in this. Now here is the code that it put in for you automatically. This is some stub code. There's some documentation, and then there's a subroutine. So there's some documentation which says nothing, and there's a subroutine. So you don't, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this guy called sum. Fill in the documentation. Returns the sum of the numbers. Since I'm doing that, I'll come here and say, I expect a list of numbers. And this is actually how I tend to program. I sort of write out the documentation, and that sort of clarifies my thinking on what I'm about to do. Because as I say I'm going to do something, I say, oh wait, but I have to do this. Oh wait, I have to. By the time I get through that process, I'm ready to code without having to code. Oh, I just wasted all that time doing that, and I have to back up and throw away that code. So now I'm going to also change the. Let's just do this. I'm going to stop with that. I get a little bit too excited about this sort of stuff. So I want to stop in the middle do make test again. And look at this, I added the documentation for sum, but I didn't change the function name, and now my pod coverage test fails, saying I have one naked subroutine, this function 1. It's looking that I have a documentation bit for every function that I put in there. And since I have changed the name of the documentation, but not the actual name of the subroutine, it complains. So let's go back and fix that. Oh. Okay, so what we're going to do is just say, there's various ways that we can do this, but we'll just be simple. Oops. I'll start with my sum is 0. This is not the way I program this, but I don't want to explain programming in this class, so I'm just going to do something learning Perl style. For each thing in @ underscore, which is the argument list, add that to sum. And then return sum. Okay, now that we've done that, it's not important the particular code you put in there. I'm just showing you changing a thing. Because what we're going to do is write a test for that. And it's not important even what the test does for this class. It's just that we're going to add a test because that's going to be a new file in our distribution. So we'll say make test again. Great. Make test is probably one of the things I type most frequently in all of my programming career. If I start typing MA, my fingers just magically keep going to make test, even if I wanted to make something else. I mean, I think it's only second to like typing CD for change directory. Maybe LS. But LS not so much. Okay, so that's great. But what I want to do is I want to make a new test file. I'm going to call it tsum.t. And how am I going to do this? So this is a Perl script. Let's say use strict, use warnings, and all that other stuff. Don't crucify me over modern Perl for this. Use test more. The simplest thing that can possibly work right now. There is a function in test more called pass. So I don't want to explain testing. You might have already heard this from Jim, so do all that stuff here. The actual testing bit is not important for our purposes. The fact that we have a new test file in our distribution is. Okay, so let's type make test again. Look at that. So sum.t ran, but it says tests were run, but no plan was declared. Okay, good. I got an error. I should have pointed that out before. So let's do this. At the bottom here, I'm just going to say done testing. You need a recent version of test more to use that. If you get an error still with that, we will try something else. So I run make test again. Now everything passes. I can upload this to CPAN. At this point, I would know you to upload it to CPAN, or just say make dist. Oh, yeah, I got to do that same thing again. And everything would appear to work. CPAN testers would get it. They go through all the stuff, but it wouldn't get the sum test that we just created because it didn't show up in our manifest file, so it didn't show up in our distribution. So we wouldn't be distributing all the stuff that we needed. Okay. But so don't upload this version just yet. Okay, oops. So in our directory, there is a manifest. And this is true for the ones that use build.pl and makefile.pl. If we look at that, that is just a list of files that makedist is going to use to create the distribution. It doesn't care what you put in there. Whatever files you put in there, whatever paths, it's going to put in the archive that it makes, and that's the thing that shows up as your tarball. So notice our t/sum.t file is not in there. Now we don't have to edit this file ourselves. We can say make manifest. And look at this. It's added to manifest my tarball, which is interesting. I don't want that. And it's added this. So let's go find out why it did that bit. Why is manifest skip missing? We should have ignored the tarball already. Huh. Okay, there's also this file, which I don't want to get into. You can read about it in the various documentation, and including intermediate Perl. It's called manifest.skip. It's a list of Perl patterns to ignore when we do make manifest. Oops. So for some reason, I don't have the version. I set the backup of that. So if I run this again, now it has a pattern to say ignore the tarballs. I remove from manifest that thing. Everyone tracking so far? Okay, so if I look at my manifest, which you normally don't have to do, you sort of trust that it's there. There is my sum.t. There is an excellent book for this sort of stuff that is going through the same sort of stuff that we're doing here. It's slightly out of date, but it's called Writing Perl Modules for CPAN. I think it's something like that. It's by Sam Trieger. And it's an A-Press book, and they used to have a free download, but I think they removed that. It's 8 or 10 years old or something like that, but the process hasn't changed that much. So all of this same stuff should be in here. So I want to release it again, so I'll do a make test. Wait, what? Okay. Okay, all the tests passed. Well, let's go back to, I probably timed out on my, and the FTP thing's not going to work. Don't need that one. What are we doing? Oh, terminal stuff. Okay, so now I can upload this, and there's my sum.t. I can also do a make this test, and that should also show that the sum.t thing works. Now, if I was actually going to do tests, I would go in and do all the things that you've probably seen other people talk about with testing. I would call the subroutine with a bunch of numbers and see if I get back the expected thing. I'd call the subroutine with nothing to see what it does with no arguments. I'd give it jump arguments to see how it handles that. I want to test to see if it gives warnings when I try to break it. How am I going to deal with that? And so on. But that's not what this class is about. Okay, so we upload that, and you're all set. That's basically the process. The rest of it, you'll have to discover as you go along. You're going to interact with various other things. Tomorrow, you should get to see a page for you and your modules on metacpan.org and CPAN Search. You should have your RT account set up sometime tomorrow. You'll probably get some email from CPAN testers saying your module fails and give you some information about that. Oh, that's what we should do. We have CPAN testers' preferences, don't we? The problem with teaching some of these classes is that I've done this once, only once ever in my life, so I forget that it ever existed. I had a Jim, do you remember how to set CPAN tester preferences?
I've never done it.
I don't think this is the same login. Okay, I don't know where this is. Maybe I can come up with it later. There was a way that you can say, I want mail or I don't want mail. I want mail for only these modules and not these other modules. Oh, wait.
Yellow?
Yellow? Yellow? Oh, preferences. Somebody reads. Reading is fundamental. Okay, log in. This is probably using my CPAN credentials. Clear? Yes? Fantastic. Okay, great. So there's that preferences link at the top that is between the yellow and the green bars. Okay, over here, default filters. So I can set all sorts of things, like I get individual reports instead of all these summaries. Summaries, I don't like so much. You might like them. Summaries, it's really hard to get things out of your inbox. Because if you don't handle all the things in the report, you can't really get out of your inbox. But then when you come back to it, you don't remember which things you handled. So it's up to you, however you like to do it. Now, each report, here, let me make this a little bigger. Each report can have a different sort of grade. It can pass, which means all your tests had no problem. Fail, something wrong or something bad happened. There's an NA. There's various ways that you can set your test up to say, this doesn't work on Mac because it's a Windows thing, so don't even try on the Macintosh. And if they get something where it says, don't even test me on this system, it sends you back in NA. Now, I'm not sure what advantage it has. It must have something. But well, I guess to say, yes, we tried it, and I did say NA. I guess that if CPAN testers got something and the test said, don't try to use me because I only work on Windows, for instance, you got back an NA report, that would let you know that people who try to install this on, say, Solaris or whatever, are going to get the same message saying, I don't work on this, so don't install me. So I guess it's an indication that that case will happen. And a bunch of other stuff. So you might want to go and set that stuff. I don't know if it's already set up for you. Has someone just tried it? And it works? Okay, fantastic. So you can set your settings there. It also has a thing per distribution settings too. I haven't. If there's something you just want to ignore, like I would want to ignore like HT access or Apache iTunes, I can do that, I think. Otherwise, it takes your overall defaults. Disable notifications. Thank you. I don't get any of those anyway. No one uses that. Okay. I think that's all that we can show you right now. That's the basic process. That's really how simple it is. The rest of the stuff is actually dealing with your module, dealing with the code in your module, the different files that you can put there, and you can learn all that from the various CPAN distribution tutorial thingies that are already out there. Those focus on those bits. I guess someone should make up a tutorial for this. It just does the boring process bits. So are there any questions? Yes?
If you have dependencies in your module, do you have to make another file to declare those? Or
Okay, so if our module uses other modules, oops. There is a build file in our distribution. If you've done the makefile.pl1, it's that. If we look at that, there is a prereq PM entry for that. And it says, I require these modules to work. Now, we could probably talk for a whole session about this sort of thing. This is the old school boring bits. This just says, I need these dependencies. When a CPAN client sees this stuff, it goes and fetches those dependencies and tries to install those first. And various things happen with that. The newer stuff have a way to break out these dependencies into why you need them. You might need a dependency just to configure the build script. For instance, people want to have a newer version of module build or make or something, and they want to make sure you're using that. So that would be a configures requires instead of the prereq PM. You might need modules just to test. So that would be a build requires. Is that right? It's build requires.
For testing, If you're using module build, it's test required. I don't know if they have functionality.
Okay,
yet.
if you look in the documentation for either executils, maker, or module build, look for something that says requires with an S on the end. There'll be some key where you list the modules. Now the module itself is just the namespace that you want and the version. So that's just the fat arrow. Now the wisdom here is to put the actual name of the module that you're using there, and not rely on any other particular module to include that. For instance, test simple comes in the same distribution as test more, but there have been cases in CPAN history where modules have split off to form their own distribution so they can travel separate paths. If you're depending on test more to also load test simple, in that split off, that might be bad. For instance, LWP, the lib www for Perl, recently split off in version 6 the support for HTTPS into a separate module. That way you can install the main LWP stuff, which didn't require any of the encryption stuff to handle SSL, and get that, and if you wanted the SSL, you can install a separate module for that. So if you said you depended on one module from the HTTP stuff, HTTPS stuff, the secure socket layer stuff, and expected LWP to automatically load as a prerequisite, that would have burned you, and the other way around. So in there, if you look in the make file or the build.pl, you'll see how to do that. Well, you'll see where to do that, and then you just keep doing that. Then you have the trick of trying to figure out which dependencies you have and all that sort of stuff.
Along the same lines of what you just mentioned, if you have more than one class or more than one module in your distribution,
Okay.
Does it look and find those automatically with the CPAN indexing and stuff like that?
Does it find the modules you put in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you just put, yes, you just put your stuff in lib, and the indexer goes through and looks at everything in lib and discovers what's in there. Any other questions?
How do you take over an abandoned module?
You ask me, and I tell you the answer. That's almost the case. Okay, so in the CPAN FAQ and the pause FAQ, so let's just go back to the pause web page. There is an about pause. This tells you things about that, and included in that is a taking over. And there is the stuff that we've written to take over an abandoned namespace. Now, what we've done as pause administrators who have the capability to just randomly flip this stuff around is decided collectively, just by convention, that we want to respect people's intellectual property. We don't want to, that's a poor term for it. It is open source. So we don't want to be hasty in just, someone says, I want to take over this module because it hasn't had a release in 2 years. We want to give the author a chance to respond. But that might mean he's on holiday, he's under some pressure at work or whatever it is, so we don't want to just, if he doesn't respond in the next hour, we're passing it on. So we go through this process, which basically, I'm not going to read you the whole thing. We ask people to announce publicly in a widely read place that I intend to take this over, just so the community knows, maybe someone knows what's going on with that guy, like his email changed or whatever. And then just sort of have a cooling off period. And if the author doesn't respond in a couple weeks, we can make the change. But that doesn't mean in the meantime that you have to wait to do any work. You can put up your version of it like on GitHub or wherever and test it. You can even upload it. It won't be indexed because you don't have the permissions that say your version of it should appear in the data files, but you can still have CPAN testers look at it and all this other stuff. You come back after you've gone through this process, and you say, hey, it's been 3 weeks or whatever, and we usually just say, okay, fine, we'll transfer it, and we send a note to the author saying, if you disagree with this because you pop back up, all this stuff is undoable, we can go back and handle that. Write to modules@perl.org. It's in the instructions as well, because this is where the pause admins will look for this information. Even if you know that I'm a pause admin and you want this done, don't write to my private email address for this, because we are very, very adamant about carrying out all this business in public so people can read the email exchange between us, unless there is something that is very, very sensitive that you don't want to let on. like, you know, we've had situations where disgruntled employees left the company and, you know, you can imagine the sort of situations we might encounter. Any other questions? Okay, in general, the PAWS admins are very glad to help with things that are related to the process, not related to what do I do with the code, what should I do, and that sort of thing. There is another mailing list that you can try out. It's almost the same. It's called Module-Authors. And that's people who will specifically talk about, well, not specifically, generally talk about module development. You can get advice from them. Whoa, hey. You get advice from them about various things. I think they might also be glad to answer these sort of questions on learn.perl.org. So that is a website, which is supposed to be newbie friendly and have people who are there because they want to help people, not people who are there because they want to enforce their view of the world. Places like Stack Overflow and Perl months, generally if you say, hey, I'm new, I haven't done this before, I'm confused on this bit, can you help me out? You know, I've tried this, and I tried this, they're willing to help. You might even run into me again with that. Also, it's only Wednesday, so you have Thursday and Friday. If you want to try to accomplish something and actually have someone here help you, because it's easier to have someone stand over your shoulder and notice what you're doing, feel free to ask me. I tend to get pretty busy during these conferences, but you know, if you want to talk to me, just call me and interrupt. And just, you know, make sure I notice you. Tell me you have a question, or I don't know if Jim would be willing to help if you see him, maybe.
Let me just interject one thing
Yes.
about module-authors@perl.org. Number one, it's a moderated list, so if you haven't already subscribed to the list, your post will be held in moderation until someone sees it. But more to the point, what that is actually most frequently used for is, I want to put this code on CPAN and I really want other people to use it. What should I call the distribution so that so that it will be self-documented? And you'll see some back and forth, you know, and various people will express their opinion, and you don't have to accept it. But it can be useful because people might be able to say, there's a better place for you to put it, particularly at the top level, than you might have thought of yourself.
There's also, along with that, on the third item on the PAWS public menu is on the naming of modules, which is just all the advice that we've sort of collected. It's advice. It is not. They're not rules. Things that I have been a PAWS admin for years and years and years, and one of my main duties on that is to help people choose an appropriate name. I am suitable for that because I've been around for a while. I've been working with PAWS for a while, and I know a lot of the modules that are already on CPAN. As Jim said,
And he's done it for me.
yes. As Jim said, people often think they have to put their modules in a particular hierarchy. At the beginning of CPAN, we were trying to classify modules so that, you know, like you would in a library where all the modules that deal with networking things were under net, all the things that dealt with web things were under www. We have moved away from that thing. As we've gotten the 25,000 modules or 25,000 different distributions and 110,000 modules that we have now, that's not all that useful, especially when people are uploading stuff that are just completely in the wrong spot. We don't have any librarians who are actually, like real librarians who are trained in classification and sorting, working on this. So there's just a bunch of things there. As Jim said, the main concern is making it so that when people see the name of your module, they know what it's going to do for them. If you call yours like Acme BD Void, no one knows what that's going to do for them. Or if I put it all initializations of things, people aren't going to know. So there's some advice there. So thank you for coming. I'm glad this turned out well. I'm glad we made so many new CPAN authors. You can go back and tell your work that you got all the stuff set up. Make it sound like it was really, really tough and arduous. So they think that you really spent time working. Thank you for coming.